Ms. Adams from North Carolina is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the witnesses for your testimony and for being here. I know that we all want what's best for students, but let's be clear. This isn't about choice, it's about privatization. Now, I went to public schools. My children went to public schools, my grandchildren as well. I taught 40 years as a college professor and prepared students to become teachers, so I know a little bit about this. But 84% of American kids are in public schools. Instead of strengthening them, this agenda pulls funding away, sending taxpayer dollars to private schools with little oversight and no accountability. Now, I've always been about fairness, Mr. Chairman, and so I'm going to request that we hold a hearing on investing in public schools, because public schools aren't failing, they're being failed. And if we care about our kids, we should be investing in public education, not undermining it. So, Ms. Levine, my question to you, we know that diverse schools benefit students in real, measurable ways, higher academic achievement, better college and career outcomes, even higher lifetime earnings. Yet, despite our country being more diverse than ever, our public schools remain deeply segregated, and the numbers are getting worse. A 2022 GAO report found that more than 1 in 3 public K through 12 students attends a racially segregated school. And so my question is, what impact do school choice and voucher programs have on segregation? Do they increase diversity and access, or do they just reinforce existing inequalities?
Thank you for the question, and I also thank you for focusing on the research and facts rather than ad hominem attacks. Private school choice programs have been shown, and research continues to come out showing that they increase segregative effects in public school systems and in private schools. I also think it's very important to note that these programs were popularized in the modern era not just by Milton Friedman, but by segregationists who were trying to avoid the integration mandate in Brown versus Board of Education. And I think that we need a very strong justification for continuing a policy that has those ugly origins, and we don't have it because those policies continue segregative effects today.
Thank you. So when public schools mismanage funds, there's oversight, there's accountability, and there are consequences. But with private voucher schools, we're seeing cases where taxpayer dollars are flowing to schools that barely exist, or in some cases don't exist at all. I represent North Carolina's 12th district. We had a school taking public money, but the state couldn't even confirm where it was physically located. And so the State Bureau of Investigation had to step in. So tell me, what's stopping this kind of thing from happening more often, and what safeguards should be in place to ensure that taxpayer dollars aren't being misused in private voucher programs?
There's almost nothing stopping it. And I can tell you from having read hundreds of voucher bills over the years that they are having fewer and fewer accountability and transparency measures. This is a deliberate choice by legislators because they do know about the fraud, abuse, and waste that happens in many states, including North Carolina. There is no type of amendment or reform that can make a private school voucher program a good public policy, not to mention constitutional under state law. But if we are going to give money to private schools, we have to ask, why are we not subjecting them to any of the accountability requirements that apply to public?
Thank you. So President Trump says that he had nothing to do with Project 2025, but let's be clear. The plan is right there in black and white, a 10-year roadmap to completely dismantle the federal role in K-12 education. And so I'm here to stand up for our students, but it alarmingly seems that President Trump has a different vision, one that puts low-income students and students with disabilities at severe risk. And so Secretary McMahon, she's already laying the groundwork to make that happen. In federal K-12 funding, if it disappears, funding that keeps the light on in classrooms and supports special education and ensures low-income kids get the resources they need, what does that actually look like for the schools and communities that rely on this support, Ms. Levine?
Cutting federal education funding would be devastating, especially to districts that rely heavily on Title I funding for low-income students, IDEA funding for students with disabilities, McKinney-Vento funding, and many others. It would mean that those districts would not have the resources. They're already under-resourced. They would lose even further on essential services.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I asked a question earlier in the beginning. I certainly hope you would take it into consideration that we have a hearing that would address the public education and the importance of that. Thank you very much. I yield back.